All right, music fans, welcome back. It is Dave, the Real Music Observer, observing real music in real time for real people just like you right there, and yours truly right here. I've been watching this gentleman who's also here on YouTube, who has a respectable channel and who does interviews with various famous folks in the rock and roll world. He's been talking with Jonathan Cain lately, and apparently I learned a couple of new things that I didn't know. Number one, I learned that Jonathan Cain's relationship with Neal Schon has completely reset. There's no evidence that I have that the two of them have got into a room and settled all their differences. I haven't heard about that. I think there's a lot of really good acting going on when it comes to the onstage performance. This is an Irv Azoff production. These are musicians who've, I think, already been paid, or at least had been advanced some money. So I think they're going to go and put on their best face, okay, in the midst of everything. The other thing I recently learned is, according to this gentleman and his site and his, I guess, unscientific polling, people prefer a journey with both Jonathan Cain and Neal Schon. Now that's interesting because all during last summer and even after that, and especially during the Journey Through Time benefit concert, which, by the way, wasn't really covered to the level that I covered it. I thought this was the greatest rock event of this year, to have Gregg Rolie, Dean Castronovo, and Neal Schon all on the same stage with Marco Mendoza and John Varn. I mean, this was one heck of a great concert, and from all of the audio that I've gotten from it, I tend to agree, audio and video. But in this video that I watched, again, I kind of was perplexed because I had so many people telling me how much they loved seeing Gregg Rolie again, how Gregg and Neal working together was so amazing and so cool. And yes, I would definitely submit that Journey's commercial success really began when Jonathan Cain entered the picture. However, there is a fondness and a nostalgia for Gregg Rolie because, number one, Gregg isn't trying to push his religion on anyone, okay? Or his version of any religion on anyone. And I think that's refreshing. I think Gregg is a bona fide lead vocalist, all right? He's not pretending to sing lead. Gregg can sing lead. Gregg's Hammond organ is just it's such an organic instrument, and when you hear the Hammond organ and you hear Neal Schon's style of guitar playing, you hear a little bit more blues, you hear a different sound to the band, and a lot of fans have grown nostalgic for that particular sound. Just to summarize here, I received tons of messages from folks who were very interested in a Gregg Rolie version of Journey. In other words, Gregg Rolie, Neal Schon, Dean Castronovo back on drums, Ross Valerie, if he wants to stay, could be the bass player, and if you need another keyboard player just to kind of augment Gregg's work, you know, that's up in the air, but for the most part, I've been under the impression that fans are really hungry for a reunion of the pre-Jonathan Cain lineup. Maybe we could get Ainsley Dunbar on drums. I'd rather see Dean Castronovo because we've got a singer and a drummer rolled into one, and whether Arnell stays or goes, with Dean in the picture, you've really got a great lead vocalist. He's just not a front man because he's a drummer, and that makes it a little tougher on the band. But even just as far as the difference between Rolie and Cain, Rolie is the old school black magic woman, evil ways, and that's another thing too. It wouldn't be bad to hear in a Journey show like we did at Journey Through Time, maybe some Santana tunes thrown in, because for classic rock fans, it doesn't get a whole lot more classic rock than Santana. And Gregg, he's out on the road with Ringo. I'm sure he's performing those two songs almost every time those guys play a gig. So that's my take on it. I don't see this as some harmonious thing where it's not up in the air, where it's overwhelming, it's Cain and Schon. I would say it's probably at worst a 50-50 split, and I think realistically it's probably 70-30 in favor of Gregg Rolie, but you guys can make your determinations on that. I mean, we're in the midst of the whole Don't Stop Believin' blitz, which, again, it's becoming a cultural thing rather than a musical thing, and it's getting a little tiresome. That's just my opinion. All right, I'm done. Talk to you soon. See you then.